All right, obviously you guys know the game has been broken for PC. I'm going to show you what I did to make the game feel a little bit better. It's probably not going to help with your FPS, but it might make the game run smoother and a bit more responsive. Make sure you stick around throughout the whole video because I'm going to show you a bunch of different things that I did, and I'm going to show you an important setting that they took away and where you can find it. Now, for those of you that have been living under a rock, with the recent Season 4 Reloaded update, most PC players have seen a massive decrease in FPS and just overall performance. Call of Duty said they were aware of the issue, and as of today, they were putting out a patch. We probably shouldn't hold our breath because despite them acting like this is a new issue, this game has been terrible for most PC players from day one. I've had to upgrade to a 3090 with a Ryzen 5900X back in December because of how bad the performance was on my old PC, and even with the upgrade, I've always struggled to get above 150 FPS. The main problem with this game is it causes major CPU bottlenecking, making it so your graphics card can only get up to 60-70% of its max performance capability. Now, as of today, they said they put out a patch. I guess it raises FPS slightly, but since the game is at the end of its cycle, I highly doubt we're going to see any major changes. Performance has gotten worse with every update and they've ignored it. I don't see them spending major amounts of resources to fix it now. Now, I've literally spent all night trying different combinations of settings in both the in-game options and in the configuration file. I've rebooted the game and my PC a bunch of times, and I didn't really notice any major changes to FPS, except one setting in the configuration file I'll get into in a little bit. What I did notice was a change in how the game felt. I did get it to feel a little bit more responsive and snappy, and I wasn't lagging or getting packet loss nearly as much. Also, for some reason, what I'm about to show you, it made the aim assist and the hit reg feel a lot better. Now, before I get into that, I just want to say that the last video I put out on resizable bar, that was made before this update that broke the game. So if you tried that or any of the tips from my other videos, they were most likely not going to have much of an effect while the game was broken. Now, the first thing I did was I completely uninstalled the game from my PC and completely uninstalled Battle.net as well. I also went to the yellow folder at the bottom of my desktop, clicked Documents, and deleted the Call of Duty folder, which contains my configuration files. After that, I went to my Programs x86 folder in my C drive, and I deleted both the Call of Duty folder and the Battle.net folder, and then I emptied my recycling bin. Now, once all the files related to Battle.net and Call of Duty were off my computer, I then went and reinstalled Battle.net and then Warzone and multiplayer. Now, I knew all my settings were going to reset, so I remembered to take a picture of them. Now, I'm just going to quickly scroll through my graphic settings in the background for any of you that are interested in how I have it set up, and you can just pause the video and take a screenshot if you want to copy them. And then after that, we're going to go into the newly generated configuration file and look at a few settings in there. Now, at the time of making this video, you'll notice that when I scroll to the bottom of the quality tab, the setting that was called NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency, it's not there anymore. You had the option to set it to off, on, or on plus boost. Well, what you want to do is, if it's still gone when you're watching this video, is you want to go to your desktop, go back to the yellow folder, click Documents, Call of Duty, and then Players. Find where it says options.3.cod22 and open it, and then scroll down a little bit to the display section, and you'll see that the setting for NVIDIA Low Latency mode is in here. Just make sure that in between the parentheses it says enabled plus boost. If it doesn't, just copy and paste it from here. Once you've pasted it in between the parentheses, just come up here to where it says file and then click save. This is a very important setting because it helps with that CPU bottlenecking that's so bad in this game. Now, after that, scroll way to the bottom and find where it says thread count for handling the job queue. Make sure the total number of cores your computer has is written in between the parentheses. You can find the total number of cores by hitting Control-Alt-Delete, opening your task manager, going to performance and then CPU, and find where it says cores, and then you should see a number next to it, and that's the total number of cores your computer has. Now, in the past we were using half the number of our cores, but now the game seems to run best on all cores. I heard someone mention it on a bigger tech channel recently, so I decided to test it last night, and anytime I put in 6, which is half of my cores, the lobby was really laggy and I seemed to lose a bunch of FPS. Now, this is the one setting that I mentioned in the intro that actually had an effect on frames. Now, it didn't by any means fix the FPS issue, but only having 6 cores written in between the parentheses, it seemed to make my frames drop even lower, and it caused stuttering and lag. Now, I tested this a bunch of times to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Just make sure you have the full number of cores written in between the parentheses. Now, the only other setting in here I want to mention is the one right below that says set a target fraction of your PC's video memory to be used by the game. just make sure it says at least 0.90000. Before Season 4, it seemed to make the game run better if we set it to its max at 2.0, but I tested it last night and I didn't really notice a difference between 0.9 or 2.0. Experiment if you want, see if you notice an improvement, increase it up to its max or somewhere in between, but I would just at the very least make sure it's set to 0.9. Also, make sure the in-game video memory scale setting is set to 90 so it matches. They're both the same setting. You can just go higher here in the configuration file. After you're done here, you just want to go up to File and hit Save. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, doing all this really didn't affect my FPS, but totally erasing and uninstalling both Call of Duty and Battle.net and making sure the settings were right made the game feel noticeably more responsive, and it helped reduce the packet loss I was getting nonstop. The best part about this was the unexpected side effect of getting better aim assist and hit reg. I've been constantly getting ghost bullets for a while now where my shots weren't registering, but since I reinstalled everything, I haven't had any issues. Now, I know some of you are getting ridiculously low FPS where it's pretty much unplayable. Hopefully one of these patches they come up with actually helps. Now, the only thing I would suggest is if you're using Steam, try switching to Battle.net, see if you notice a difference. Steam seems to have more issues than Battle.net. Just remember to delete all your old Call of Duty files, and also you have to link your Activision account to your Battle.net. Now, the only thing I haven't tested after the update was hardware acceleration. I ended up turning it off again a couple days before the update, so that's how I had it when I was testing everything, but I will go through and test it again, and I'll double check optimization for Windows games and make sure that doesn't have an effect. I had an FPS stabilization video planned and a benchmark video planned, but I'm not going to start them until I know the issues were fixed, because the stabilization video isn't going to work while the FPS is broken, and the benchmark results will obviously be skewed by the issues as well. I will have a monitor and color settings video for both PC and console that'll show both colorful settings and competitive settings, and I'll also have an in-game tip video you might find helpful and interesting for controller players. Make sure to subscribe if you want that notification. If you found this video helpful, drop a like. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Follow me over on Twitter to stay up to date on everything Warzone 2, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more short, straight-to-the-point videos like this. I'll catch you next time, and if not, kick rocks. Peace.
Kick rocks, biatch!